Alright, you've been wondering how you can start a farm like this with little or no money. Is it actually easy as people say? It's easy to hear people that I started my farm with no money, I started my farm with $0, with no dime. Is it actually easy as people say it? Can you actually start a farm, maybe a small farm like what you have behind me here, with no money? Today's video is right here to answer that question. I want you from today's video to be able to understand and see how maybe from nothing you can be able to establish yourself in poultry farming and agribusiness, from nothing to everything and anything that you want to be. If you're just watching our video for the first time, come on, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time we drop a video. If you're a returning viewer, still go and subscribe. In here, the first thing is that our farm is one of those farms that you can make reference to as a very, very small farm, starting very, very small, very, very, very small and humble beginnings. So inside this whole thing you see here, we have just 250 laying birds. So you might be thinking that people are starting with 1,000, people are starting with 800, how people are starting with 2,000, somebody is starting with 10,000 and saying that it's just a small start, and you're asking yourself, how do I start? I want to tell you that starting even with 50 birds is a good start. Starting even with 2 birds is a good start. The most important thing is that you just have to start. So I want to take you in and I want you to see what this structure is hosting. Let's get in. So welcome here. This is my very, very first batch. This is our first batch of birds as I got into poultry farming. We have our very, very first batch of just 250 birds. So it's possible to start. You see, when I was starting, they will say that the least that you can go with is 1,000 and all of that. But if you don't have, does it mean that if you don't have funds to bring in 1,000 birds, does it mean you should not start? Like I said outside, the most important thing is that find a place of starting. So in here you see this structure has our 250 birds here. This structure is a 10 meters by 12 meters long building, and when you put your mats together, it should give you about say 800 birds. It should be able to carry about 800 birds. That's why even though we have these birds here, we have this already laying flock here. Inside another section of the same structure, we have our day-old chicks, a new batch of day-old chicks that we just brought in, 500 of them in number, because for us here our formula is always ×2. So now if I have 250 birds here, the new batch that I brought is 500. That means that the next batch of birds I'll be bringing is 1,000, and the next batch of birds I'll be bringing after 1,000, how many do you think it is? You can put that at the comment section. We still have eggs here, and like I said, this structure carries these 250 birds. In here we have 500 day-old chicks that we are brooding and carrying. This is just 7 days after that, and we still have space behind here. All right, so as you can see, this place where I'm currently standing is a place where we had a very, very old structure, an old family structure that was here. That's what actually began our brooding. Here we still have an old structure here, which we are currently using for brooding. This is where this whole stuff started. We didn't start in this structure that you're currently seeing. So you can be looking at it and saying, how do I start? You can be looking at it and saying, Kai, is it easy? Is it this easy to just start up and set up a structure like this? Structure is not the very, very most and first important thing. There are other things that are important. That's why we have this structure here. We have not yet destroyed it. We have not yet demolished it, because we are currently using it for brooding. We are using it to brood up our birds. So that is what this place is all about. Like the length of this structure, entirely this new structure, the length of it is 12 meters, the width of it is 8 meters, and the ground floor, as you can see, it was designed, just that a lot of work is still going on, but as you can see, it was designed to carry 2 floors. We have this ground floor, and as time goes on and as work goes on, we'll be having the second floor that will be placed here. When a new batch of birds come, as we prepare to receive them, we are going to do, the flooring. We'll do a wooden decking here, and so that we are able to have birds under here and we'll have birds up here. As you can see, it was made in a way you have that roofing sheet material there. We have a wire mesh From a distance you can think that there is nothing here. Here we have a wire mesh that prevents unauthorized access. We just have nature behind there that permits free flow of air. We also have here, we still have roofing sheets for the second floor, and then up there we have wire mesh for the second floor. So it is designed typically for 2 floors. So like I said, work is still going on, and as work goes on, we are going to be we'll be updating you so that you can see, you can learn, and you can understand much. So back to the topic of our discussion: what does it take to start your own farm at this level with no money? One thing that you will notice in our chicken house is that you are not only going to see feeders like this, you also see locally made things like this that we are using to feed our birds. All of those things are the things that I'm going to be sharing with you, how you can be able to actually start at a very, very low budget. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you is that you have to understand that you must start small. I understand that you are very, very passionate. I understand that this thing is burning in you. I understand that you want to blow, as they say in my community, but you must learn the art of starting small. This is what starting small will help you to do. You see, there are mistakes that if you make with maybe 50 flocks or 250 flocks, you see the loss and maybe the pressure or the hard times that you go through, it might not be so intense as you starting with, say, 2,000. So starting small helps you to first of all minimize risk while you learn. For example, there are so many things that I have learned with this flock that gives me the courage to step up times 2 to 500. So if I just went up to, say, starting up with 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, there are mistakes that should have taken me out of track. For example, we have had mistakes on this farm, mistakes caused by biosecurity. I had to learn that. We have had mistakes caused by feeding or by feed composition. We have had mistakes caused by even failure to administer vaccines on time. The lessons have been so many. So all those lessons is what gives me the confidence that scaling up maybe times 2, I can be successful. I will be successful. It's not a matter of can. So try as much as you can to start small. Go and look at your budget. Look at what you can. Just look at it. You can start with 500. You can start even with 1,000. What I've come to understand is that starting small is different with people. There are people whose small is can be 2,000 birds. There are other people whose small is 50 birds. There are other people whose small is 250 birds. Like my small that I started with was 250 birds, as you can see. And I'll be taking you to very soon to the brooder there, and you'll see what we have there. We have 500 birds there. So you must learn to start small. Starting small, it helps you to minimize a lot of damages due to inconsistent information. So that's the first thing I want to say. You must learn to start small. Don't allow anybody to put you under pressure. Start small. And the second thing I want to say, most importantly, is that you must learn to use local resources. You must learn to improvise. Yes, like I was talking about our feeding system. Let's look at this. I was talking about our feeding system. You look at our feeder here. This is just but a normal bucket. Yes, if you want to start small and you keep thinking of how you just want to bring everything, you want everything to be a mechanized something, everything to be at a profit, don't think it's going to be easy. You must learn to use local resources. This is just a bucket, I think a paint bucket that has been improvised for us to serve us like a feeding system, and it works very, very well. It saved me the cost of buying another one of these. And if you check around, you discover that there are a good number of them like that. If you check even on this other side here, you discover that we did not just use buckets. We made use of even jerry cans that were not usable. Some of them had small holes, but we have been able to improvise them and use them as feeders. So you must try as much as you can to see how you can use local resources around you. You can use local resources around you. I think somewhere there you look at that, we have a whole lot of things, plank feeders and a whole lot of things that we just use local materials around us to put together. It helps in a big way to cut down on cost, because if you are starting, one of the things you must learn is that you have to cut down cost while improving and increasing efficiency. Again, I will say that you must learn to cut down the cost while you see how to improve and increase your efficiency. The third thing that you would want to do, that you don't want to make a mistake with, so that it doesn't affect even the small number of birds you are dealing with, is that you have to make sure that you have the best feed at the best price. You see, it's easy to say that it's easy to push people to get cheap feed, but the question is, does that cheap feed, does it come at the expense of the health of the flock? Yes, I'll say get cheap feed, but let's make sure that that feed is efficient, that feed is balanced, the feed formula is good, and then you are good to go. So you must also make sure that you get feed that is cheap and feed that is very, very good. I always bring this balance because in our African context, cheap things are not always good. But my experience, I've been able to learn how to put feed ingredients together, how to compose, and how to make my own feed, which at times is cheaper and at the same time is also good. You must learn to get feed that is good in quality and is also low in cost. Now, you want to start. One of the things I must encourage you to do is that you must not start by constructing a very, very large chicken structure like this. You might just need to learn how to do a lot of things your own way. You might need to learn how to, or you might need to just look around the quarter around you and find maybe an old structure that is not in use and make use of it. For example, when we started our farm, we're using my mom's kitchen. We did brooding in her kitchen, and from that time she gave us the kitchen. We kept on using the kitchen. We expanded. I'm talking about these flocks you're seeing now. We expanded and used the kitchen for about 12 weeks, and then we moved into another structure. It was still an abandoned house. It was still a house. That's what we are using for brooding now. We used it. We didn't start the project by constructing a very, very big chicken house like this. So to cut down costs and to make sure that you are not under any pressure, you must make sure that you start even by just looking for a place. There are people around your community that have abandoned structures they are not using. Maybe even in the compound where you live in, there are people that have structures they are not using. You just need to go and make sure that there's free flow of air there, the place is clean, there's free flow of light, and then it's good to start with. You must not set up a structure like this while starting. Remember, you are starting. I must understand that in starting you must cut down the cost while improving the efficiency. So do that. Just find a way of using local things and let it be excellent. Use the local things in an excellent way. All right, so that is it. Just find a place where you can start. It might not be a very, very professional place. Just find a place where you can start. I tell you the truth, starting is the most important thing. Also, you must make sure that you keep learning. Yeah, you must make sure you keep learning, because I believe that even more than the capital, knowledge is very, very important. Because if you have the capital to start a business and you don't have the knowledge, you're going to ruin everything. But if you have the knowledge, when the capital is there and the knowledge is there, success is very, very sure. So you've got to learn best practices, learn vaccines, learn basic poultry routines and all of those things. Learn nutrition, learn everything learnable, so that you don't find yourself, for no reason, you should never find yourself at a place where you are making losses because of deficiency in knowledge. Because if in your efforts to start up a farm, a disease breaks out on your farm, maybe because of carelessness or anything, you're already working on losses, and you might think that the business is not profitable. I tell you, it's profitable, but you must give yourself to learning. Yes, so just find a way of starting. If you have to find a job to do, whatever you have to do. If you have to lobby for funds, maybe from an NGO, if you have to see family and friends to support you, if you have to just find a way of starting. If you have to just look for a job to do to put the funds together, then you have to do that. If you have to save, you have to cut down on some of your expenses for a particular period of time for you to be able to put money to start, you have to do that. But I tell you the truth, starting is good. You can start anyhow. I didn't even start. It's true, I didn't even start with layers. My first experience with fowls, I did broilers because I wanted to learn. So I did about 100 broilers. Yeah, I did 100 broilers, and I learned brooding. I just learned how to interact with them, and then from there I got my first batch of layers. So learn. Maybe for you, perhaps you need to learn first by working with local chicks around, local fowls around, just working with them, keeping them, housing them, taking care of them. To just learn. The most important thing is learning. After learning, you outsource funds. After outsourcing funds, you take action, and you are good to go. I hope this video today has given you light, it has given you inspiration, and I hope you were able to learn something. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time we drop a video. This is Farm Life. See you on our next video. Bye bye.